And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I haven't been doing this for several weeks now. First episode in a very long time. But listen, we're coming back. We got somebody good. We got somebody great talking to a very good comedian, Alyssa Limperis. I thought there was an A in that last name. There's not. Alyssa Limperis. We'll start off this episode with a conversation with her. Recorded this a couple of weeks ago, and now I can finally put it out. She has a new special on Peacock called No Bad Days, where she covers the discovery of her father's cancer. I believe it was cancer, and then his eventual passing, and then dealing with it and everything leading up to it. It's a wonderful special. It's truly great, and just heartbreaking and sad and devastating, but funny and very, very clean. And not like clean like there's no curse words, but clean as in it's a very produced production in which, you know, there's cameras everywhere, lots of guerrilla nature stuff, and then, you know, halfway through the special is when the death happens, and it's a very sad and tense moment, and you just have to deal with it. I think if you have Peacock, definitely check it out. Also, Peacock's free, so I don't know if it's on the paid version. I currently have Peacock for this month just to get through some things, and it's sitting. I've seen the special already, but I'm so tempted to go back and watch it again. Alyssa's a very interesting person. She's very good to talk to. She's very what's the word I'm looking for? Empathetic. And you can empathize with her. She can empathize with you. She understands how to give. If it's more like, you know what, it's a special, but it's also kind of a one person show in the way it's produced. And you know what, I can't say enough about this. Listen, if you want to check it out, Alyssa Limperis over there, No Bad Days on Peacock. You can also follow Alyssa on. Oh, I promise, I'm still good at this. Alyssa Limp Instagram, AlyssaLimperis.com, and Twitter, Alyssa Limp. Basically, just type in Alyssa and then LIMP, and you'll pretty much find her anywhere. She's even on YouTube. Apparently, some of these links are purple, and I've clicked on them. You could even like her on Facebook. And it even seems she might be on LinkedIn. So if that is your bag, I mean, I can't tell you how many people that are in the industry that I follow on LinkedIn. It's cool. It's cool to be like, hey, these people are working people too. No Bad Days, Peacock, Alyssa Limperis. Check it out there on Peacock. Okay. At the end of this, we're going to transition. If you're watching the video, you can go check out this interview in a breakout on youtube.com/cpluscomedy, which you're probably already on right now. And if you're also listening to this audio version, we'll go to the interview. So that's how things work. Check out the interviews, youtube.com/cpluscomedy for the video version of this. And we'll come back in a hot second. Go on a break. Okay, Alyssa, how's it going?
Hi, Chad. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I see your backdrop there is the stage that you performed on, and that's so many good memories.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. For me, it's a green. Yeah, for me, it's green. But I see it in the corner there, and it reminds me of being back in New York.
It's green. I thought that was real. Well,
you thought I was. The show's tonight. Yeah, I'm doing it again. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, it's a show that can be done many times. You know, it felt it felt very intimate, especially not just the subject matter, but just the way you told the story. So I give you kudos for that, really.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. And it's true. It is an intimate show, and it is really dependent on the audience. So I do feel, even though I've done it so many times, it changed every time, depending on how the audience was feeling or receptive to it or whatnot. Yeah.
Well, how'd you approach writing it?
Well, it kind of happened in two chapters. I went home to live with my dad and then came back after he passed away. I was living in New York City, and just was doing comedy, but felt like I couldn't talk about anything else because I had witnessed this crazy thing and horrible thing.
Right.
So it's weird because I don't remember even writing. It was more just like, I have to like say all this stuff. These are feelings that I have that are very clear to me that I have to say. And then I honed jokes within it. So I think the writing process for this was very much like, I have to say these things. I have to get this stuff off my chest. And then how do I make it funny? The making it funny, okay, I can figure out how to do that or add jokes or work out bits. But the origin was like something I had to say.
Yeah. And, I think it's very smart that you don't have to, even when there are parts where there were jokes and there are parts where there weren't, you didn't feel like there was a need to force something in there, especially towards the middle where you get to the actual death part. And there's like this well of emotion that's just pouring out over the audience. Everybody's deathly silent. And then you walk down to the middle of the auditorium and there's an empty seat. And then you have that interaction. And that kind of just like breaks all of that tension. None of that felt forced. And I think that's good and admirable, especially now knowing the way that you approached writing it.
Thanks. Yeah, that was always really important to me was if I want to say something serious, I can just say it. It doesn't have to end in a joke. And if I want to do a joke, I can do a joke and they can just exist next to each other versus it being that every serious thing I said had to turn into a joke. Like I feel it's representative of grief and death is that like happiness and sadness and jokes and pain are next to each other all the time. And so I wanted the show to give you that same sensation. Yeah.
And I also appreciate how this special just started. The show just began, and the reason for everybody being there was introduced basically within that first minute. There wasn't any futzing around or anything, and it reminds me of what the Constitution means to me. That show, and I think a lot of people when that show first started, they went in thinking something totally different, but then as it grew in popularity, people knew what they were getting into, and that's what something No Bad Days can come to is be kind of reminiscent of that, and while living on its own in a completely different subject matter.
Yeah, I have always started with a joke. It's basically I've always started. It's changed a bit, but it's always been a one-liner right away, and I think it's important to immediately let the audience know, like, hey, here's what happened, and we're gonna be okay laughing at it. And that was always very helpful for me to start the show right at the top with that. That piece, and then similarly going into the audience after that soft moment was always very important to me. Both being like, I'm with you in both of the, like for the first one, I'm with you. I got you. We're going to laugh and we're going to talk about hard things and it's going to be okay. And then with that running moment into the audience, it's the same thing of like, hey, I'm still here. We're still here. We're in this together. I know I just brought you there, but I'm here with you and we're doing it together. And we can come back now together. Yeah.
And, and also I just thought the writing obviously does the bulk of the work, as it should. But your personality really carries it along. I mean, if you were a completely different comedic personality, delivering these jokes and delivering the story as somebody who was, I don't know, dour the entire time or deadpan, then it wouldn't kind of work, or it'd rather just be a complete sad tale the entire time.
Right.
Whereas you put some upbeat, you put some energy into it, you ran around that giant stage. It all made sense in the end.
Oh, cool. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's my dad. That's my dad pouring through. And that's his messaging too. It's just like he was just a really fun, optimistic guy who made the best of any bad situation, lit up a room. And it was important to him that each day had something in it that was good. And he maintained that, as you know, through his death. And so for me, I owed it to him to do that in the show as well. Perhaps an earlier version of me would have been more dour. Perhaps if I had done this show before my dad died in some weird reality, I would have been more dour, but I think his death did push me to continue to find optimism and cheeriness within dark times. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hearing that your dad, optimistic person, great. I love that. But also hearing, we're kind of related in the sense that I also got a phone call that my dad was dying. And that was just like, I remember I was at work and I got up and there was like construction going on at our at the news channel I used to work at, and I went to this room that they were working on, and there were these guys, and I was just like, can I borrow this to talk on the phone? And they were like, yeah. And then I had like a 40-minute conversation with my mom, my grandma, and my aunt, just all talking to the doctor who's explaining this for the fifth time what's happening. And so, but you know, I just think a phone call seems so impersonal, but also, you know, the best thing at that moment for anybody in our situations who have to, you know, deal with getting that type of news and then going, well, the decision is, you know, we have to drive or fly, you know, drive 5 hours or fly, you know, 6 hours just to go and see these people one last time before they kick the bucket. And that, I think, you know, you can relate to the audience on that type of level when as a way of connection, as opposed like, yeah, everybody knows someone who's died, but actually having to take action after the fact, that's a whole different thing.
It's a whole, yeah, I am so sorry to hear that. And so did you go home right after?
No, so I think he passed away that night. I think like they pulled the plug and he passed away that night. And then like I woke up, I got like a text that just said, you know, your dad's dead. And then yeah, right. So
phone calls impersonal. What's the worst next thing? Text. Oh gosh.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's just that
I am so sorry.
Thank you. And I'm sorry for your loss as well.
Thanks.
And, but you know, you deal with it and you roll with it, and then you know, as you did, you put it into a way that you can understand it, which is doing a comedic take.
Totally. Yeah. And that the whole phone thing, it's an interesting point. It's like, it is also very death and grief. It's like your normal day is happening, and then this thing that normally is just your phone, like delivers this message that changes your whole life. And then now you're stuck with your whole reality is the same because it's on the phone.
Yeah.
You go back to your job, the construction workers are there. It's all the exact same, but this fundamental tectonic shift has just happened. And then you have to just carry that. And that's heavy. It's a heavy thing to carry while you continue normal life. And so I think talking about it and sharing it with audiences and letting audiences share with me has been such a gift because it's heavy and we're all carrying it. And so to be able to lighten it up a little and connect with someone on it, it's nice. Yeah.
Now, had you always been that open on stage?
No, not at all. I did like a lot of misdirects, and I talked about, I guess I talked about boys, but it wasn't even, it was like Tinder. I had a lot of Tinder jokes, I remember. And yeah, I was not open on stage yet because I was just trying to be funny at that point. I didn't have much to say. And then this was like, I have to say this. I have to talk about this. And now I am very personal in my comedy and my art. So it pushed me there.
And I think that's a good change in that direction for somebody. You know, Definitely. It's sad that it had to come that way, but it's a very good push for you in order to find your voice on stage. And now you can take that into the other parts of the entertainment world, whether it be in your acting career, or if you go on stage, or if you continue doing shows like this, which can be a profitable thing. You know, comics like Mike Birbiglia, he's not even, I wouldn't say stand up, he's more of a storyteller who's funny. So you can continue doing this, and I think it's a very good and fun and interesting way to do comedy differently.
Totally. No. And I feel definitely in terms of live comedy that this will be the way I do it, is like starting at the core. What is it that I want to say? And then how do I make it funny versus like, what do I think is funny? And yeah, I agree. In TV and art, I feel it very strongly as I continue with TV and movie projects. I'm in this show Flatbush Misdemeanors right now on Showtime. And that's a show that really deals with, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like super deals with heavy topics, but they do it in such a funny, light way. And I play, you know, an addict in it. And I felt very like, oh, I'm grateful for this experience to have shown me vulnerability on stage, because that does it. It's the same thing, just with someone behind a camera or in front of a camera. Yeah.
And, you know, I also appreciate the producing behind it all, where it's like when you laid down on stage and we saw that top down view, that just opened up the entire world of this comedic, this story moment. Like at no point did I ever think, oh, we're gonna see this woman lying in the middle of the stage. I don't know if you had tape on the ground to show you where you should lie, but like direct middle of the stage, making eye contact with the camera, slow counting, and tears welling up in her eyes. That is, and then also like seeing like a guerrilla camera shot on the side of the stage with you laying down, and then there's somebody in the crowd. Like it's wonderful producing because, and I can take that because I work as a producer, so I can take that into consideration and see that everything is coming together, and it really helps elevate the story to new heights.
Oh, thanks. I really, really appreciate that. And that's how I feel too. And yeah, we had an all-female EP team, and I was directed by Lance Banks, who was just phenomenal. And Christine Ng was our DP, and they just did all those shots. I agree that moving shot where it was catch, because I move so much that I think it helped it feel really fluid, and it helped it capture the feeling you get when you watch me live. And that's my favorite shot of the special, the above shot. That's my favorite shot. Yeah.
If I was selling Blu-rays, if physical media was still a part of our world, that's what I would put on the cover of the Blu-ray or the cover of the poster, and just like that
totally
shot.
Totally. Yeah. Blu-rays. Yeah. They came and left.
I've got some over there, and they're very sad. I don't use them that often because streaming exists. But
I know they really came out right before streaming. Like DVDs were already on the way out, and they're like, "What about us?" And it's like, we don't know. It's time. Yeah. It's done. You missed it. You're a decade too late. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, because the look and feel. Obviously, I was doing it in comedy clubs, like with like a light switch on and off, and someone in the tech booth doing some music. So, and my friend Matt Tuccaro composed that song, that beautiful song wow. And his mom died of the same thing my dad died of. And so to have him be able to write that song and compose it for this special, that always felt really nice too. Yeah.
And I want to end on this. How did you all go about producing? You just said, as going from comedy club to comedy club, and now in this final stage, you were turning lights off and people working the backgrounds. But what was your take on producing it from the comedic level for you?
Well, yeah. So I was an EP as well as doing the comedy of it. So I think it was an exciting challenge where for the first time I was making creative decisions for my set and my show, while also weighing into all of the decisions for lighting and set design and shots and camera angles. So it was exciting. And also I feel I just had a really awesome team. And so it's like I had visions of things, but then I had pros who knew 10 times better how to execute and do it. And so I feel lucky that I was just equipped with such a great team. Shannon and Michelle at Art and Industry, Jane Church Cooper, me, we're all EPs. And then, yeah, Alan Edelman, those lights when because I couldn't really see it. And so then when I watched it the first time, I emailed him right away, and Todd Ivins with the set, I was like, you guys blew it out of the park. Because you see some shots, but you don't ever see the full, because you only get one day to rehearse and shoot. So it all happens very fast. So I had to just trust all of these people, and I did, and they all just totally knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. And so did you. So don't take that for granted.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Alyssa, I appreciate the time with you. This has been great. And thank you so much. And great job on the special. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Great chatting with you.
Bye.
Bye.
And we're back. I'm just gonna. Usually I include like a going to break banner, but I think it'd be very funny if I just didn't include a going to break banner. You just saw me look off to the side of the screen to look off to the Zoom recorder, and then look back at the camera for 3 seconds, for truly just like 3 to 5 seconds of me doing this. Listen, I was gone for a little bit, not gone as in I went places. I didn't do anything. I just haven't done this show in a long time. I've done News Time a long time, but that doesn't mean I have not been writing news times. In fact, I have 7 written news times I need to shoot. I have about 6 that I need to put out. It's been a minute since I've put anything out, mostly because no one pays you for this. And when you got a job, something's got to fall, And so what have I been doing in my time off from not doing the show and not doing news time? Well, besides working, I've been working out. You know, when I meet people for the first time, they go, "What do you do?" I just watch TV, I work out, and that's it. I don't do much. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all the things I've been doing. Hanging out with Nova. This morning, I was sleeping as one does, and I wake up during the week at 4 a.m. so I can go to the gym around 4:30, and I wake up. It's 4 o'clock in the morning as usual. And I'm in the bathroom, putting on my contacts, brushing my teeth, blah blah blah. Also, brush your teeth if it's in the morning. If you wake up, go brush your teeth. You don't come to the gym with stinky breath, because I'm gonna know. Anyway, I wake up, I do all my stuff, and Nova is screaming her head off, just yelling, just row, row. I'm just like, dude, you gotta chill out. What's going on here? She did it last night too, and then last week she was just very solemn, and this week she's just screaming her head off. Cats. What are you gonna do? That'd be a good episode title, but this title's at Alyssa Limperis. All right, so let's do this. So there were. I hate starting sentences. So there were points where I thought I was going to sit down and do the constitutionals at least. Which means that I have about 15 stories just saved up. What I want to do for the next couple of minutes is go line by line by each one of these stories and just talk about them. Just give them like a 1 minute thing. And in fact, 1 minute thing each, probably. And in fact, I'm just going to pull up my clock, my stopwatch on my phone. And we're going to do this. All right, ready? Oh, Jesus Christ in heaven. All right. Here we go. These are stories from literally weeks ago, and I just want to talk about them for 1 minute each. All right, here we go. The Obamas leave Spotify for Audible. Obamas are one of the biggest acquisitions that Spotify had, and I'd say one of the biggest media acquisitions for the past couple of years. And because everybody wants to work with the Obamas, but they left Spotify for Audible. Now, this is a big move because I don't know if they made any type of noise when Joe Rogan said all that stuff he said, earlier this year, or was it late last year? It doesn't really matter. But I do believe that was definitely a part of it. The Obamas, I don't know if this is going to put an impact, a damper on their podcasting ambitions. I do think Spotify is a big platform for them, but Audible, I don't know, that kind of gatekeeps you to one thing. But Spotify, you can only listen to the Renegades podcast or whatever they did only on Spotify. So it's interesting for them to move on over. And that is the minute. Boom. Jesus. All right, let's go on to the next one. Apple and MLS, Major League Soccer, signed a 10-year deal for streaming games. So Apple's already gotten into the sports streaming world with the acquisition of the baseball games, and now they're doing a 10-year deal with soccer. Soccer is the biggest sport in the world, MLS, Major League, I guess, football, people call it. And this is a huge deal for them. This is a big deal for them because this is going to bring a more variety of viewers to Apple TV Plus, and especially if they have good league streaming games. So you can have all the soccer in the world, but people are only going to watch the ones that they tend to stick with. Now, that being said, I do believe Paramount Plus has a really big deal with Major League Soccer. But I see the soccer teams there all the time. I don't know who soccer teams are, but definitely it's big over there. Same thing for Peacock. I wonder if Apple is international enough for this to be big, or if it's going to be more of a homegrown thing until it gets international enough. But time will tell until we see. Or boom. Jesus. All right, keep going. Oh no, I'm not going to do this one. One of them was Amazon Prime Video's most watched shows, and this is a story I truly don't know, but let's do it. Let me scan over it really quick and see exactly what we're talking about. Oh, there's a chart. There's a handy dandy chart over here. Got another great title for this episode. Maybe I should just not name it Alyssa Limperis. I'm kidding. This episode's about her. Okay, ready? Here we go. Amazon's top viewed shows. Now, we know that streaming services do not put out their numbers. Netflix famously doesn't, and I heard Ben Stiller is a little frustrated that he doesn't know how many people have watched Severance and on Apple TV Plus and Prime Video. There's no exception there. But now, only when the shows get big or when the shows movies do something well, people will get the numbers released or companies will release numbers. Now, Hunters is one of their top shows. Upload season 1 is one of their top shows. Excuse me, one of their top shows, but it's not as big as Hunters, which is the number. Okay. Series and total episodes. All right, total minutes. Hunters, Upload, The Boys season 2, The Wheel of Time, which is definitely something they put their money behind. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel season 4. Reacher did the best out of everything in Bosch season 7. Now they obviously have the shows to do this, but I think they recently had a redesign, and I believe that this is going to help them in the long run. Prime Video. If you're going to continue, if you want to, I know we're a little bit over time, but if you want to continue to get more viewers, this redesign definitely helps, and I think that you have to be a little bit more out there when it comes to your shows. I remember a couple of years ago, was it Peter Rice was looking for? No, it wasn't Peter Rice. Why am I looking at Peter Rice? I'm sorry, I have a different story I'm talking about. I remember a couple of years ago, the guy who was in charge of the Prime Video stuff said that they wanted just more broad, bold, not bold, but broad things like the Game of Thrones, and Wheel of Time is definitely that, if anything, and Reacher is definitely that, if anything. So they're proving that point well, but I think shows like Upload, even though they don't do as well as shows like The Boys, they can definitely branch out and to do weird things. Sorry, that's 2 minutes. That's my bad. Okay. This is from June. Jesus, this next story is from June 28th. It is August 15th. We'll get a little bit more into ad-supported stuff as time goes on, as these 1 minute things go on. But I do want to just go ahead and quickly cover this. Let me sign into Wall Street Journal. Why am I not signed in? And it says waiting for it. Come on. All right. Who cares? And here we go. This is a change of strategy for Netflix. So we all know that Netflix. I gotta stop saying so. We all know that Netflix is going to be introducing an ad-based tier. AVOD is very important right now. There were a couple of years ago, people were always trying to avoid ads because they drop cable and they would always go, hey, I'm only watching Netflix. I'm only watching Hulu. I don't want to watch any ads. Hulu with no ads. But now AVOD is proving to be the better thing because we have Disney Plus going to do it. Everybody's doing AVOD because it's an easier way to get more money and it's a cheaper way for you to subscribe to something. So it's kind of win-win, but it's mostly win for the streamers. And now Netflix is basically becoming it's second tier, it's third tier compared to Disney Plus, HBO Max, and others because it has to pivot on this ad deal as well. We're over a minute, definitely. It has to pivot on this ad deal thing, but then it also in releasing these shows, binge viewing has become its own captor, whereas Only Murders in the Building is doing well week to week on Hulu because you have 10 weeks, or they do 3 episodes at one. They do 3 episodes when it first airs, and then 7 weeks after the fact. So when you do 7 weeks of episodes versus you're doing 1 day of episodes and dropping everything at once, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because Stranger Things is going to taper off, but Only Murders in the Building is going to do same thing for Better Call Saul, even though it's a linear, but it's on AMC Plus. So you're going to get people talking about it, and it's a shame that Netflix really is the binge model does not work for everything, and even when they try to do weekly stuff with, I know they have some Korean television shows that come on weekly. It doesn't work because those shows just they don't have the same draw as Stranger Things. So it'd have been a good test for them to put out Stranger Things week to week, even though they did put out, I think, the latest season in 2 batches. The batches were separated by a couple of weeks, but their success is gone, and it'll be a good pivot for them to get out of binge viewing. God, I gotta stop. See, this is what happens when you say I'm gonna do 1 minute. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. So as we know, in the past couple of weeks, HBO, David Zaslav has been doing some tinkering over there at HBO and HBO Max and Cartoon Network and the rest of the Turner family, as I still call it. But HBO Max is reevaluating its European originals. They are going to stop doing they're going to stop doing a lot of purchasing for the originals. I don't know if they're doing well, but they're trying. But I know for a fact that they're trying to cut $3 to $4 billion from the wallet, as it's said. And it's, European shows. They have shows like Kamikaze, Lust, The Informant, The Thaw, and Rux. And I think that, Max, Zaslav and Max as a whole are looking at the numbers of those shows and thinking that they're not doing super well. But, not every show is going to be Squid Game. Not every show is going to be Squid Game over there on Netflix. Not every show is going to be Hulu's got some foreign shows. But I think it comes at a cost when you have to find an audience for these, and when they find their audience, the audience will stick with it. And I mean, it's like the British shows. When you have a British show like Starstruck on HBO Max, that wasn't specifically made for HBO Max. It is a Max original, and it lives on Max, but it probably airs on BBC Three or something like that. I don't know. Same thing for the Great British Baking Show. That was a PBS broadcasted program, with an E, as they say, as they have, and you have to find an audience for it. And yeah, I mean, it does cost a lot of money spending on these, but it's hard. Like the thing is that they want to find good shows, and so that's going to be hard for you to understand if you don't buy the shows in the first place. Boom. All right, moving on. So we're going. Oh my God. Okay, so these next three stories are all connected. Bob Chapek over at Disney fires Peter Rice, who is a content exec over at Disney. Now Peter Rice didn't do. He was good at his job. Peter Rice is just, quite frankly, just great at his job. He's from the Britland Islands, and he helped pull in boost performances for movies such as Moulin Rouge and Slumdog Millionaire, and he has been one of the better people at Disney, especially in the past couple of years. We don't exactly understand why Chapek thought it best to let go of Peter Rice, and he replaced him with Dana Walden, who is doing the same job. And we don't know, nothing has come of it since. Now, some of the answers have apparently started leaks. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter version of the article. And sources are saying that Rice was an outsider and he didn't really fit in with everybody. And that doesn't really make sense, because if anything, yeah, he hasn't been with the company for a long time, but Chapek, you came from the business side of the parks department. So you're not really fitting in with the TV people. It doesn't make sense for somebody to be, I think as a content chief, Peter Rice has been, above par. He helped bring in a lot of shows for the streaming platforms, for the linear stuff, and that's not a takeaway from Dana Walden, because apparently she's helped bring in Nat Geo's TV content strategy and really helped with that, as well as anyway, Rice is gonna have to go somewhere, and whatever company is gonna get him is gonna be very lucky to have him, because he's definitely somebody who could pick and choose what shows would work for what platform. Boom. Okay. This next one is YouTube TV surpasses 5 million subscribers. This is big for the streaming TV world. Hulu Live TV and YouTube TV are two of the most popular ones. Sling is trash. I don't like Sling. I remember I had it when it was in beta form. That was great when I was in college to have like cable-ish thing when I was living in an apartment. Anyway, because it was like the first time it ever happened. Anyway, to have YouTube TV be the most popular streaming service is definitely streaming service. The most popular streaming TV service, streaming linear TV service. Definitely makes sense. It does have a better platform than Hulu, and the DVR thing is just what sends it over the top. They're both still $65 per month, which is insane on top of the other streaming services. You don't have to have it, but that's why I split it with somebody else. Anyway, and it's definitely helped me out in the long run. I like YouTube TV. I'm glad that they're doing well, and I want to see where they go from here. I just want more features. I want 4K to be free rather than paying another $10 a month for it, and I do not pay for that because that's ridiculous. All right. Okay, here we go. We're talking about Netflix again with its ad deals. So Netflix is renegotiating its deals with the likes of Sony, with the likes of Universal, the likes of Paramount, the likes of Warner, so that it can show ads on the shows that it acquired from those providers on its platform. So that means if they want to show ads with New Girl, for instance, which is Fox Broadcasting. Although I do think it was a Fox show, but does Disney own that now? Whatever. Okay. Let's pretend Fox Broadcasting still owns the rights to New Girl. If they wanted to show ads with if Netflix wanted to show ads, if Netflix wanted to include New Girl on the ad tier of Netflix, then they would have to go to Fox Broadcasting and say, "Hey, can we show ads on this show? We will give you a percentage of the money." And that's basically what that's dealing with. It's going to take a lot of negotiations because a lot of these shows, everybody's going to want a cut of the pie. Everybody's going to want a slice of the pie while they also have their own slice. Warner Bros. Discovery already has an ad tier for HBO Max, but if there's a show that's also on Netflix as well, then it's definitely going to get, like on Hulu. Like there's Adventure Time is on HBO Max, and then it's also on Hulu. If you have the Hulu with ads, then you're going to see an ad. No, that's a kids show. I shouldn't say a kids show because they don't have ads in front of kids shows. Well, not Friends. I don't know. Just whatever. Let's stick with the Adventure Time analogy. And so if there's an ad, there won't be because it's a kids show. But if there's an ad in front of the Adventure Time episode, then Warner's going to get some of that slice of that pie, even though it's all over there on HBO Max as well. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Hulu growth is more than Disney Plus for the first time. Even though Hulu seems to be the bastard stepchild over there in the Disney family, especially the Disney streaming family, Hulu is definitely finally catching up to what it should be. It should be ahead of Disney Plus. I don't care. I know Disney Plus has the name of Disney Blood, but Hulu is definitely the better platform because of what it offers. We are seeing that the prices for Disney Plus, for Hulu, and for ESPN Plus are going to go up by the end of October, I think, or later this year, which is going to suck, and which we all knew was going to happen. When Disney Plus launched at $7 per month, people thought this is the cheapest one. This is the cheapest one, and now it's been 2.5, 3, 4 years, and these prices, ESPN Plus is going to be $10, and Disney Plus is going to be $10. Or however much. I think it's going to be 15, something like that. Oh, the bundle's going to be like $15 or $17 with ads, or without ads. No, it's going to be 20 without ads. Yeah. Anyway, ridiculous. It's just gonna. This is why I buy it. This is people always question why I collect Blu-rays and stuff, and I go, this is why, because I don't want to always the only thing is, again, for Disney Plus, the only thing I watch is The Simpsons, and it stinks. It stinks to have to now to pay the entire bundle price so that I can watch The Simpsons on there. Even though I do record it on YouTube TV, but I don't want to fast forward through ads, especially not at night when I'm like laying down and tired. Okay, here we go. Final, there's 3 more, I promise. Marvel shortchanges comic book creators with movie payments. When Marvel makes a movie on starring Captain Falcon, excuse me, I'm sorry, that's not his name. That was so rude. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier and all these and the She-Hulk and everything. The people that should be paid, besides the actors, besides the producers, besides the director, besides the writer of the movie, the people that should be paid the most is the stakeholder of the creator of the character. And the artist who created Black Widow, the writer Devin Grayson and artist J.G. Jones, did not take home a lot of money when it came to Black Widow's appearances. They take home about $5,000. The money's just kind of lopped off. Imagine renting an apartment and they and you're nickel and dimes for everything. Well, imagine creating a character now, and you're promised to be paid $25,000 for each one of the appearances of the character, only for it to be $5,000, and not to get an explanation. And this happens across Marvel, and it's a shame that you sign all of these contracts, these NDAs and everything, and they say, like, if you watch Harley Quinn on HBO Max, and something happens. Listen, I gotta take a break. Hold on. We're gonna take a break, and then when we come back, we're gonna do this. Here we go. All right, back from break. 3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome back. True or false? I had to drop somebody off at the hospital really quick. True. As of a strange call to receive at 9, whatever time it was, 9:50. It only took about 10-15 minutes, but I forgot to press stop recording on a lot of things. Nova jumped up in the chair, and today's still going strong. It's 10:42. I've been awake since 4 a.m. Sometimes I look, like on Fridays I go grocery shopping, and sometimes, I'll work out. Not sometimes. I'll work out. I'll go for a run, which is typical for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I'll go grocery shopping, and I'll do what I need to do, and then I'll sit down at my computer. It's like 10:15, and I go like, all right, time to do some work. And we've had summer Fridays for the past for the summer, and so usually if I'm done around 1 and no one needs me, then I can log off, which is great. So we're talking about Marvel movies and how comic book creators don't get paid. That's basically essentially the brunt of it. But there's another thing I also want to mention, is that there's like Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier, is if the character does a cameo, and which technically Sebastian Stan's Winter Soldier does a cameo in Civil War because he only appears in 22 minutes in the movie, even though he's the major factor of the movie. And same thing for Captain America and Avengers Infinity War. Even though he's a main character, he appeared for less than 7 minutes and 30 seconds. That cameos really truncate how much you get paid. So people think Marvel's the greatest thing in the world, and it truly is not. This is something I want to... Oh, hold on. All right, hold on. I definitely have to pull up this clock. All right, so this is... we're going back to the minute-long thing. This is something I want to dig more into later, but this is written by... you'll see who's written by, Casey Newton. But he writes about why Medium didn't do exactly what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to be this blog space where... people could basically write in free form and do everything they need to do, but we have new places that are doing it better. It's basically essentially a newsletter platform, but when you have things like Substack coming out and other places where people can get paid a little bit easier than what? oh, well, my 145 has been removed. I guess when meetings get canceled, it's always something interesting. So, which means it opens up my day. And it's hard for freelancers to make money, and so Medium was Nova's fully sniffing my arm. So Medium was a place for people to make money, and it just failed compared to Substack, and even Hey, no ma'am, and even Substack failed in that regards, and there's still struggles that are coming along, and Medium can obviously find a new ground to pull off of, to stay on the top of, but there's that. All right, let's move on to the last of the bulk of the things that I actually have stories to cover. Wall Street Journal. Excuse me. I'm sorry. The Super app is something that is struggling, and how it's not taking off in America. So across the pond in different nations and different countries, there are there's basically one app to do everything. So if you want to shop, Alibaba is essentially where you're going to go to do all your shopping. But that does not cut on in America, where there's one app to do one thing. If you want to listen to music, you'll listen to Apple Music or YouTube Music. If you want to, I didn't say Spotify for a reason. If you want to, buy stuff, you'll buy Amazon. You'll go to Amazon Prime and just buy stuff. But if you want to watch stuff, you go to Prime Video and watch stuff. There are apps that are trying to be super apps, and they're just not really working. Uber, for instance, they want it to be the place where you can to go to get car rides, to give car rides, to buy food and stuff. Spotify, they want it to be the place to listen to music, listen to podcasts, and maybe eventually at some point watch music videos. PayPal, Snap, they all want to be the one thing, but it's difficult because those aren't taking off in America. And then there's also, you have to, when you're in America, you have to pay for on the Apple Store, you got to pay on the Google Play Store. You got to, if people subscribe and do stuff. So these companies are still going to continue trying to be the one app for everything. The Facebook app essentially is, you can buy stuff. There's some small games, there's dating parts, there's podcasts, but I don't think people really want. I don't think people as a whole really want one app to do everything. So, all right, let's do this before I have this meeting. Okay, so now these stories I can free will as long as I want until 11 o'clock. There is a movie called Fall. This comes from The Verge, written by John Porter, that is, I guess, like a free climb movie or something, but it was a low budget movie, and it had to use AI technology to take out a bunch of F-bombs that were left within, not in the script, but from the actresses, due to them having to do rappelling and stuff like that. If you haven't seen the trailer, it's a movie starring a couple of pretty ladies where they jump off of a thing and they're stuck on top of a thing, and it's just one of those indie films. But there's a lot. There were obviously points where, since it was a cheap movie and you can only do so much with CGI stuff, they had to do this stuff for real. And they couldn't reshoot things. So them rappelling off of something and the actresses, out loud going F, 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 F. And then that would be done in post. The changing of the F word would be done in post to screaming or whatever. They used AI in order to do this. Do not sniff my arm and do not attempt to bite me again. And I think that's a really interesting thing, because this has been done before in other movies, but now this is going to become more widespread. It's basically ADR, but for digital ADR. It's amazing. I like it a lot. Moving on to the final stories. Axios sold to Cox Enterprises for $525 million, and Reductress sold to Phenomenal Media for an undisclosed amount. These are both smaller publications, and in fact, Axios really came to prominence by being a Washington publication that really solidified like good down the middle reporting of news. And unfortunately, with this sale, there is something that can be